In the run-up to the primaries, local candidates are being asked to govern ethically and sign on the dotted line. And is it a win or a loss for the state of Indiana? That depends on how you feel about EPA regulations. These stories and more coming up on Lakeshore Report.
The Indiana University Northwest School of Business and Economics is the only public institution in the region to hold AACSB International accreditation. The program provides undergraduate business education with a balanced curricula based in leadership, teamwork, and technology. IUN serves both traditional and non-traditional commuter students in a diverse urban environment. Learn more at iun.edu/business.
Programming on Lakeshore Public Television is underwritten by NIPSCO. NIPSCO, helping to save energy and money with programs and ideas for your home, including the Appliance Recycling Program. That old freezer or refrigerator may be costing you more in energy than it's worth. It's possible to save up to $100 a year on your energy bill, and we'll pay you to pick it up. Find out more at nipsco.com/saveenergy.
We're here in Indiana for this. I'm Kristyn Estes, and this is Lakeshore Report. Indiana's primary elections will be held Tuesday, May 6th. On that day, Hoosiers will choose which candidates move on to the November general election in a wide range of offices, both local and national. While candidates make their last pitch to voters, a local group is making a pitch of its own to the candidates. The Shared Ethics Advisory Commission asked all candidates in Lake Porter and LaPorte counties to take the same pledge. The Candidates Ethics Action Pledge asks the potential leader to agree that, if elected, he or she will provide ethics training and a written ethics policy for employees and provide or support whistleblower protection for employees who report ethics violations. As of April 30th, 117 candidates signed the pledge. Officials with the commission say the results are good, but they also believe having candidates who did not sign shows that more work needs to be done. On election night, Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM will have live coverage beginning at 6 p.m. featuring election results and analysis. We'll also televise hourly updates of the results. To find your polling place or see candidates on your ballot, visit indianavoters.com. One round of voting earlier this week will affect classrooms across the state. On Monday, the State Board of Education voted 10-1 in favor of adopting new academic standards for math and language arts in Indiana public schools. The guidelines will replace the previous Common Core standards, making Indiana the first state to adopt and later opt out of the federal standards. The Board of Education says more than 2,000 public comments and over 6,000 hours of work went into crafting the new standards, calling them both rigorous and strong. Opponents say the new rules are too similar to Common Core and not comprehensive enough. State officials are working to create guides to help teachers implement the new standards, which take effect this fall. There was a major setback this week for proponents of an increase in the federal minimum wage. The Senate voted not to move ahead with the debate on minimum wage legislation, failing to get the 60 votes needed just to continue the discussion. Indiana senators weighed in on opposite sides of the issue, voting along party lines. Democratic Senator Joe Donnelly voted in favor of the debate, saying he believes increasing the minimum wage will create more opportunities for Hoosier families. He expressed his disappointment in the Senate's failure to reach a bipartisan agreement. Republican Senator Dan Coates voted against the measure. Coates, the senior Senate Republican on the Joint Economic Committee, said, quote, "While some claim this legislation will merely add a few cents to the price of a burger, its actual cost will be far greater," end quote. The senator cites a report by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, which says that an increase in the minimum wage would result in the loss of approximately 1 million American jobs. Indiana Attorney General Greg Zeller says a ruling this week by the Supreme Court won't end Indiana's challenges to Environmental Protection Agency regulations. The state of Indiana lost its bid to overturn an EPA regulation requiring a reduction in smog and soot emissions that may cross state lines. The 6-2 Supreme Court ruling will now require 28 states, including Indiana, to reduce emissions that impact other states. The lawsuit argued that the EPA regulation violates the Clean Air Act because it doesn't give states a chance to calculate how much cross-state pollution they're actually producing. The Supreme Court ruled that calculating the emissions produced by each state is impossible and beyond the scope of the Clean Air Act. Indiana Attorney General Greg Zeller says the ruling leaves some Indiana-specific issues unresolved and won't affect a second lawsuit challenging the EPA's attempt to use the Clean Air Act to regulate greenhouse gas emissions. Officials in one region city say improving the quality of life for all residents is a top priority. Sarah Holst has the story.
Thanks, Kristyn. As cities and towns across America continue to recover from the recent recession, ideas on how to attract economic development are common. But in the city of Gary, where the tax base has been in decline for decades, officials know it will take much more than ideas to change the city's future. This week, 2 events made headlines with claims of real change and fast. City leaders say what's coming in the next few months might even seem like magic.
The city of Gary is no stranger to broken promises, so when powerful people say positive change is on the way, residents in the Steel City are understandably skeptical. But some officials say the evidence of that change is already beginning to appear.
The city of Gary is now prepared and able to engage serious investors and serious developers and get things done. We are not in the practice of throwing good money after bad.
J. Forrest Hayes is executive director of Gary's Economic Development Corporation. This week, he presented the city's updated University Park plan to local business leaders and potential investors. Also known as Glen Park, University Park is the area between I-65 and Grant Street and Ridge Road and 33rd Avenue. City officials plan to use the campuses of Indiana University Northwest, Ivy Tech, and the Gary Career Center as anchors in the community and build retail and dining options for the students at those institutions.
Between the 6,500 students at Indiana University Northwest, 3,500 students at Ivy Tech, and over 500 students at the Gary Community School Corporation's offering, that's almost 10,000 students with no outlet for their disposable cash.
The plan also includes a new $45 million performing arts center and teaching space to be shared by the 2 colleges at the intersection of Broadway and 35th Avenue.
And we also envision infill residential and townhouses down 35th Avenue, student housing near both campuses.
Education and a strong school system are also key components of the redevelopment plan. And for that, the city is counting on a little bit of magic.
I grew up poor, but I didn't have poor dreams.
Irvin Magic Johnson spoke at the Genesis Center Monday night as a fundraiser for A Gary Promise, a plan to help Gary students through scholarships, mentoring, and leadership and career training.
My whole passion is inner city youth and making sure that they understand that it's about their education, not about playing ball.
Johnson's promise claims to be about much more than signing checks. Johnson told the crowd repeatedly that he will be back and hopes to develop businesses in the city.
We can also bring jobs. I can build different businesses here so that we can, again, build up the infrastructure here in Gary, provide opportunities for our job opportunities for the people who live here.
Johnson currently owns about 125 Starbucks franchises, and that's just the kind of development the city hopes to attract to University Park.
This footprint has room for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mixed-use development properties.
This week's developments seem promising, with at least the appearance of cooperation at both the local and state level. Residents may not be completely convinced, but hope seems to be growing, and in a place where hope is sometimes hard to come by, it's at least a start.
If you want to really boil down what University Park is designed to do, is to effectively marry Indiana University, Ivy Tech, and the Gary Community School Corporation into one massive force for catalytic change. This is not all about planning. We want to get results.
Hayes says state officials have approved the necessary funds for the shared performing arts center, and construction could begin later this year. Meanwhile, the Gary Community School Corporation is considering closing some of its campuses in order to reduce costs. Steve Walsh, host of Regionally Speaking on Lakeshore 89.1 FM, sat down with Gary School Superintendent Dr. Cheryl Pruitt to talk about the tough decisions facing her organization.
It's been a busy week for the Gary Public Schools. A visit by Magic Johnson drew national attention. At the same time, the district is grappling with whether to close schools. To talk about it, we have Gary School Superintendent Cheryl Pruitt. Superintendent, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So when you booked Magic Johnson to be at one of your events, were you expecting all of this national attention?
No, but I was expecting some attention, but we really did get a great deal of attention this week.
With all the talk of the LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling, did Magic Johnson's message get lost, do you think?
I don't think it got lost. I think it actually maybe did us some justice to put the importance back on education, and also in terms of role models. Magic Johnson is such a warm spirit, and he really cares about African American and Latino children. He cares about people and their health. He just really cares about people. You had
a successful fundraiser, but what do you expect to come out of this? Is this something long-term?
This is something long-term. He will continue to work with the school district as well as work with the city. So, you know, if we can get our school district, or should I say when we get our school district as being one of the top school districts in the nation, then it can filter out into our communities and into our city.
Now, we've talked about on the radio, and since we've talked, East Chicago schools, they're talking about they're going to look at closing schools. It's something that's not just happening in Gary. But what is the plan here? Are we going to see Lew Wallace shutting down before next school year?
We have not made decisions, but I can tell you this, we do have a budget deficit. We have looked at how much of a deficit we have in our debt, as well as our general budget. We are working closely with the city right now in terms of looking at some additional dollars that may be sitting out there. We're moving very, very briskly or very quickly in that direction. So that's about $8 to $19 million we're looking at in that area. And we want to use that for our boilers, our swimming pools, as well as our roofs.
Why Lew Wallace?
Well, we haven't decided on Lew Wallace, so that's just a conversation that's out there. It's not that Lew Wallace may close. There's a lot of different options we're looking at for all of our schools.
But don't you, if you're going to do this for next school year, you really do have to decide what
we're going to do, yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that in the month of May. So additional information will be coming out, but we do not do anything in isolation, as you know, Steve. We work collectively with our community.
So what are you telling parents? Did you just have too many schools and you've just seen too much of a decline in enrollment?
We do. When we look at and compare ourselves with other districts across the nation in terms of student population, but more importantly in terms of our budget. Because we get monies our budget is comprised of two components right now, and that's our general budget, the money that comes from the state, and our tax money. And you know, right now we're only receiving 42% of tax collection. As you're aware, there's a lot of abandoned homes. That's about 8,000 homes that's on the list for demolition. So we're even working with the legislators to see how come in the past 3 years, the 42% has been straight across the board for each year in terms of our tax revenue. As you know, other cities and other school districts receive additional monies from within the city, whether it's the gaming money, from the casino, and Gary Community School Corporation right now do not receive any gaming money. As you know, U.S. Steel...
And is there a prospect of getting any extra money here? Is there anything that could stop the closure of these schools at this point?
Well, we want to be fiscal responsible, so we're going to look holistically at the whole entire picture to actually see if we need the buildings.
Superintendent, thank you so much for being on.
Lake County is home to a new education course founded on the basis of exploring social issues through the prism of prison. I sat in on the latest course that encourages learning in a place where some of the students are locked up.
That's your concern, Monica, no worries.
Well,
without this class, true.
A chair, a pen,
The average criminal look like.
and a piece of paper. All familiar tools of a classroom, but this education is happening behind barred doors.
There are people who have too much and people who really have nothing.
On this day, 15 students form a circle to chat, but only 2 of them, including Tammy Moore, have a dress code, an inmate jumpsuit.
I got up and moved my seat next to one of them to let them know, you know, we're the same, we're all people, you know, just because you're inside and we're outside, you know, and they felt that way because they have these jumpsuits on and then we come in regular clothes.
What is after the probation period is
Assistant Professor Monica Salinas-Saunders says her unique class, held at Lake County Community Correction Center in Crown Point, is not activism or advocacy. It is simply a mutual exchange.
all students, all people in society need to learn from groups that are different from their own.
In the Inside Out Prison Exchange Program, students from Indiana University Northwest and students from the correctional facility meet twice a week to study together.
And the students were very comfortable with one another, and they seem to need the interactions.
If they had more programs and places that did the things that this place does.
IUN senior Ebony Hicks says the class shatters stereotypes about the Inside students who are either on work release or house arrest for felony crimes.
There's a big stereotype out there that if you are locked up, no matter what you did, you are automatically guilty and you're a bad person. So I wanted to kind of try to break this stereotype because I used to feel that same way.
The barriers between community agencies like institutions like prisons and the university fall apart. They fall down, and it will really become one community.
Salinas-Saunders is one of only about 300 instructors nationwide certified to teach the Inside Out curriculum.
It takes away everything from you, you know. I feel like it takes away the self-esteem.
Inside student Tammy Moore, set to be released in October, says the voluntary class should be mandatory.
I love this class. It helped me a lot, and it helped me to calm down, because I was so defensive at first and angry, you know, and it helped me think a different way. Well, just think about it, what if they didn't have these classes? I'd just be sitting upstairs, still having that same mentality that I have, and still angry.
I was afraid of her. She came off aggressive, and now it's like she brings me lollipops, you know, we're hugging, we're talking, and, you know, she got a job.
Class discussions often focus on issues of offender reentry.
Ex-offenders lacking the ability to find jobs, to find especially meaningful employment, that gives them back their dignity.
After a semester-long course, Senior Elliot Gable has a new title for the incarcerated women.
Tammy's my friend. Some of the women know more stuff about me than some of my friends. It's almost like an honor when somebody you don't know talks about their personal life. So I try to do the same. I changed, not so much change my major, but I just changed my thought. One day I hope to have the means to help out ex-offenders.
Salinas-Saunders says Inside students can qualify for course credit at IUN if they enroll within 5 years of completing the Inside Out course. Coming up, another area program is using art to keep students learning throughout the summer on this week's Eye on the Arts.
Hi, joining me for this edition of Eye on the Arts is Jody Nix, who is a dedicated art teacher with All About Art. And Jody, welcome to Eye on the Arts, first of all.
Thank you.
Your first visit here, I believe.
Yes, it is.
But the camp, how long has the camp been running?
We are in our 12th year this summer.
That's great. And you've been running the camp at Valparaiso University.
Yes, we have.
And still doing that.
Still doing that. And the camp has grown. Our first year we were asked by Dick Brower, Jane Lohmeyer, Patricia Cummings, and myself to create a camp for the university to get people on campus who normally wouldn't be, parents and children alike. So our first year we launched a camp centered around one of the main holdings of the Broward University, which is the George O'Keeffe Red Rust Hills.
Oh yeah, that's a great painting.
So that was our first camp, and it was 1 week long, and now we have evolved into 7 sessions through the month of June.
Oh, nice. What age groups do you teach?
We teach early elementary, middle school, and high school now.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, we have for the first week a 3D camp, morning and afternoon. The second week we have 2D camp, morning and afternoon. The third week we break it into advanced for elementary in the morning, and in the afternoon advanced for middle school / high school. And then new this year we are also having evening art studio sessions for high school students who are preparing for their International Baccalaureate, advanced art camp, or portfolios for college. And we also have a special needs segment that's in the third week.
That's fantastic. So this is truly a community outreach on the part of the university, But you're not, you're under the auspices of the Porter County Community Foundation, you
Yes.
said.
Yes, we are
at
this
this
year.
time. And so people can make contributions to you and donate money to help support the camp, I assume.
Yes, they can.
And then the participants pay a tuition, I would suppose.
Participants pay tuition. We also have many sponsors, local businesses, and we have scholarships that we award to need-based students. So all you have to do is go onto the website and fill out the application and inquire that you are interested in that, and then we just have a letter dialogue with the parents, and we make those financial decisions if we can allow the students to go for free.
Well, good. Well, congratulations on 12 years.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Eye on the Arts.
There's a place just a bit west of the lake that is, for some people, like a little piece of heaven. We headed to Brookfield, Illinois, and checked out the Galloping Ghost Arcade in this week's Jump in the Lake.
Right now we have 415 games between the main floor and the expansion. We have people that travel in from all over the world as we've become largest arcade in the world, and we pay...
That's official. This is the largest arcade in the world?
Definitely of every place that I know of. Easily the largest in the U.S., biggest that anybody that is into arcade games has told us about.
So it's like just a cover charge to get in the door?
That's all it is.
Like $15 cover charge.
Yeah.
You're in the door and you can play for 15 hours if you want to.
Yeah, we had to explain to everybody how you don't need quarters, we don't need tokens, you don't need any kind of coins. It's just a set price to play if you want to play. If you're coming in, if you don't want to play, you don't have to pay, that's fine. If you want to play, it's just a certain amount of money. It's really cheap, actually. And then you get to play for 13 to 15 hours. So where else would you be able to do that?
What made you say, let's stop throwing the coins in the machine and just give people a relaxed, free playing experience?
The free play element to it came from a few different things. Thinking back to when I was playing all the time, there was so many games. There was the staple games I wanted to play every time I went to the arcade, and there was so many games that I missed out on playing. And this way, it gets people to try stuff that they've never played before. And again, because we have so many people coming from all over the world, we just want to make sure that they get to experience all these rare games. Like we have so many, we actually have, I think 75 games that we're the only arcade in the US that have them. So there's a lot of stuff that we've imported from Japan, and it's taken a long time to build up this collection. We have 143 world records that have been set here since we opened, which is unbelievable. We have some fantastic players that come here. And again, if they were putting quarters in, they're not as likely to stick with the game and go after a score. So the psychology of the coinless place makes this such a unique environment for the players. So it's really changed how a lot of people play.
We had so much fun
Yeah,
at
it
the
certainly
arcade.
looks like it. I like that concept that you don't pay, each time you play a game, and you're not nickel and diming your parents to death when you go, that kind of thing.
Well, it's also nice because anytime you've gone into an arcade like that, you've got the change in your pocket, or you're having to exchange your dollars for more change or tokens or something like this. And this is just kind of a carefree, relaxed way to enjoy video gaming.
And you get a variety.
Arcade gaming, rather. All kinds of stuff. They got pinball machines and regular machines and just about anything you could want. By the way, if you want to see more on that story about the Galloping Ghost Arcade, please go to our website, lakeshorepublicmedia.org, and look for Jump in the Lake. So what do we have working
It's a big
next
week, of course, with the primary elections on Tuesday. And again, we will have live radio coverage between 6 and 9 p.m. Steve Walsh has a whole panel of guests lined up, some local politicians, former politicians, people that are very familiar with the region and the politics here. He'll have some phone guests also phoning in for some commentary. And we will have some live updates for you on television at the top of each hour between 6 and 9 p.m. We will be reading off some results for you. So tune in for that again at the very top of each hour. and we're
The
hoping
radio, of course, we're going to have coverage that's going on throughout the
right,
evening.
throughout that entire time, between 6 and 9, 3 solid hours of coverage. And Steve Walsh is planning to catch up with as many winners as he can throughout the rest of the week after Tuesday. So hopefully we'll hear from some of the winners and maybe from some of the losers as well.
Full coverage.
Yeah.
And Hilary, what are you going to be looking at next week?
Definitely what has to do with the election and talking a little bit about other issues around the region.
Okay, great. So we look forward to that. We hope to join you again next week here on Lakeshore Report.
The Indiana University Northwest School of Business and Economics is the only public institution in the region to hold AACSB International accreditation. The program provides undergraduate business education with a balanced curricula based in leadership, teamwork, and technology. IUN serves both traditional and non-traditional commuter students in a diverse urban environment. Learn more at iun.edu/business.
Programming on Lakeshore Public Television is underwritten by NIPSCO. NIPSCO, helping to save energy and money with programs and ideas for your home, including the Appliance Recycling Program. That old freezer or refrigerator may be costing you more in energy than it's worth. It's possible to save up to $100 a year on your energy bill, and we'll pay you to pick it up. Find out more at nipsco.com/saveenergy.